Protracted wage dispute between government and public servants is playing out in the country's highest court today. The National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union is holding a national day of action today in defense of collective bargaining and workers' rights. Last year, unions challenged government's decision to unilaterally withdraw from a 3-year wage agreement. This bid was lost at the Labour Court today. The Constitutional Court will hear an appeal application by unions. Workers are questioning the constitutionality of government's decision not to implement wage increases, in 2020. For more on this story, reporter Khaylihle Khumalo joins us now from the Constitutional Court. Kaya, government has won 2 rounds in the lower court to have its 2018 wage deal with unions declared invalid. Remind us on what grounds?
Well, what I can tell you is that at the very heart of the dispute is that 2018 wage agreement, at least the last part of that agreement. So now the workers' unions, they're quite aggrieved by the lack of the implementation. And of course, they do believe that the highest court in the land is going to reverse that particular order that was made by the Labour courts. But also in the main, we do know that Nehau says that they will continue to fight until the bitter end, until this particular issue is resolved. But we do know, for example, when you go back to the government record, for example, the former finance minister, Tito Mboweni, used to say, South Africa is not as rich as we thought we were. But the workers are saying, you know, you go back to 2018, the funds were set aside to make sure that the workers are paid. And now it's even more sad because they're working under very trying circumstances where they are facing the pandemic, the healthcare workers, the teachers as well are facing quite a very tough time in the classrooms where they have to navigate a very uncharted territory, as it were. But also in the main, the issue around the austerity measures, that's where workers are saying they are against that because they're saying government really should make sure that they work under a very conducive environment. And so they are banking their hopes in this particular court to really reach a final decision where the workers' rights are protected, because they do say that a lot of the workers' gains have been reversed. And also they do talk about South Africa's obligation to make sure that the workers' rights are respected. You know, we're part of the ILO, the International Labour Organization. So South Africa should really make sure that the workers' rights are really given respect, as it were. But in the main as well, another very burning issue has to do with, we saw recently where the workers' union signed an agreement with the government as well. So there's division as well within the union. Some signed, others boycotted that particular agreement. Nehau was one of those because they really did not believe that it was sufficient to meet workers' demands.
Kaya, what are you hearing about the union's chances at the Constitutional Court?
So they're quite optimistic. They are very cautiously optimistic about their prospects of success. So obviously it's going to be a very extensive argument from their side where they will try to raise the constitutionality of the collective bargaining, and because in essence they are raising their eyebrows by the stance that has been taken by government, but in the main they are showing their dismay towards the Department of Public Service and Administration, Treasury as well, and across 9 Primus offices in South Africa as well. There'll be massive pickets. We're just here outside the Concord. We're not really seeing the members of Nehau yet, but we do believe during the course of the day they'll be here picketing, really expressing their message. But I can tell you that there is heavy police presence, and of course I would imagine this is also in line with the threats that we have seen of the shutdown during the course of this week. So there's a massive police presence, actually more police than actual Nehau members so far.
Thank you so much, Khaylihle Khumalo. He is in Johannesburg, where Nehau is taking the government to court.